everyone, and welcome to Magus of the League. Hey Chris, how are you?
Good, Lee. How are you, man?
I'm good. So
Been a week, been a while.
It's been 2 weeks. So
hard to believe.
We're hard in the wire of the spark. So this is Magus of the League.
Yes. What kind of podcast are we, Lee?
We are a video podcast about sealed and sealed league as formats for Magic.
Yeah.
Specifically to sealed league because after pre-release there's no more sealed.
That's right.
But we are in the heat of War of the Spark, and we are talking about that. So my sealed league being a 60-card format.
Yep.
Where you open 6 booster packs to crack your pool, which was this week. Pool opening still going on. Still plenty of time to sign up for War of the Spark.
Until May 10th.
At Face-to-Face Montreal.
Correct.
And after you pass those cracked 6 packs, every time you take a loss, you add a pack to your pool.
A punishment pack.
Punishment pack, as you are. Up to a maximum of 11 losses. So 10 packs, 11 losses. You can open a pack on the last one, too, to make you feel better.
If you want to, yeah.
If you make it feel better.
Consolation pack.
Or you make your way to the glorious ranks of the top 8, which is far away at this point.
Oh, yeah. A month and a half.
Yeah. And get that huge mega draft, which is going to be a big one this set. 7 packs.
Yeah, 7 packs.
7 packs.
Going
Double
back,
Ixalan.
Ixalan, Rivals of Ixalan, Dominaria, M19, Guilds of Ravnica, Ravnica Allegiance, and finally
War of the Spark.
War of the Spark. The bombs. You get the bombs at the very end of the mega draft.
Yeah, get the bombs at the very end of the mega draft.
That's what we're fighting for. That's the heart and soul of this experience. But now we're still basically on day 3 of week 1 of the league, and we're still struggling to find our feet. We're still struggling to find the final form of our decks. And there are certain cards that we're hoping to open. Lee and I, independently, have come up with a list of the 3 bombs that we would like to open in this league that we think would give us a pretty good chance of dominating.
So
And speaking of dominating, just a moment. Let's start the moment of bragging. On day 1, our record keeper, Richard Koffler...
I'm just going to take a side.
Yeah, just take a little break, take a washroom break. So he updated the list on the end of day 1. I was at the very top of the list.
Yeah. And maxed out.
And maxed out, as is my custom.
Yeah. So I'm just going to talk about that for a second. Chris, who gave you your defeats at the very top of that list?
Well, that's an interesting question, Lee. During the pre-release, as I recall, I whipped you handily. Then you rallied to beat me in actual league play, as did David Grinos, our editor, who we have to thank profusely for.
Prior to this video, just put the huge spank on me.
So we know where the pyramid, we know the hierarchy is
rock,
like
paper, scissors. You know,
that's right.
Rock, paper,
well,
scissors.
except he's the rock and the scissors because he beat us both.
Yeah, exactly.
We're just paper.
Yeah, we're just paper. Paper on each other, smashed together. Okay, so before we're jumping into that, let's talk about first few things. So let's talk about the first impressions of the format overall. Okay. So because we haven't gotten into our deep dive yet, we don't have a complete understanding. But we have done pre-release. I did 6 events of pre-release. I'm at 666. I did 6 pre-releases. Yep. I've done about 6 drafts at this point, and I played my 6 league matches. So
sounds pretty even.
Kind of getting a feel for it.
Those numbers together, you know?
666.
Yeah, so something.
There's bad dark gods in this.
Yeah, I think so.
So, let's talk about the Dark Gods.
Yep.
They are format warping.
Yes, our prediction has basically held true. There are people who have gods, and there are people who want to have gods in their pool. Yeah. And in set, there's no way to deal with them, really. So it's forced some players, like myself, out of set already. I'm going to try to defend that claim later on in this podcast in our Crack-A-Pack section. Yeah. I think it's pretty smart to try to find pacifism effects, to try to find turn to frog type effects to deal with the gods once they're on the table. It's taking me all the way back.
There's a turn to frog effect in the format, but it's not. No, in this current format too. But it's not fantastic. No. Yeah,
it's okay.
So, it's okay. So I hadn't thought of that as an answer to the gods, but it's really probably the only one in the whole set. But yeah, so far a few people have opened some gods. A lot of fun. Yeah. You know, more beginner friendly than I would have thought.
Oh, absolutely.
There's some weird interactions. So just a forewarning to anybody who wants to take the time to this. It's been noted that a lot of the static abilities on the planeswalkers prevent action, but not the spell. So in the past, static abilities would be like player can't cast certain type of spell, can't activate certain type of ability, blah blah blah. Now it's a lot of can't draw cards, doesn't take damage, prevent the damage. So as an example, the Wanderer, right, prevents the damage. It doesn't prevent you from playing the spell. So your Jaya's Greeting, if you Jaya's Greeting someone with a Wanderer down, as soon as you play that card, spend that mana, your opponent can be like, well, wasted card. And a lot of people are probably going to nick that edge, hoping to get to that top 8.
It's definitely more of what I would call an intermediate or advanced friendly set in terms of complexity. So I think that here's the thing. In terms of complexity, it favors the more experienced players. But in terms of like opening a bomb and running from the beginning to the end of the game and winning, that's more beginner friendly. And that is the case.
So acceptable to both sides. The pro players will get their edge, but the beginners still have a chance by just running with it.
Rip their bombs, play them, and beat you.
Yeah.
So what I was going to say, Lee's had the experience, I think. Now, I don't want to speak for you, but you've had the experience that games have a certain sense of inevitability which creep in early. My experience has been very different. My experience has been people that basically we have long, grindy games. We're trying to get edges for value. Lots of interesting board states and a lot of back and forth. I've really enjoyed the gameplay in a way that I haven't for a good number of sets.
I've had a few of those games myself as well. But I found, and I mean, this is could be a little bit of confirmation bias because I've had some mana issues even playing 25 lands in the last couple of my games. But I have found that like if someone curves out into their bomb early, it doesn't matter what kind of cards you have in your deck. You're aware of the situation that you're like, okay, I have no answer. This is how the game ends in the next 3 turns. You know, like no matter what I have in hand, no matter what I draw, this is how the gameplay is going to play out. You can kind of pretty much predetermine the tempo. And I was saying this format can be very tempo oriented, especially with decks like Proliferate and all that type of stuff, where it's like 2-drop, 3-drop, Proliferate, Oketra, and it's just like, okay, well, no matter what I do, I've lost this match. So games can play out really fast that way. I don't know if this has been your experience, but there's been more than a few times that I've sat down on a table and it's like, it's not worth it to fight this out because no matter what I'm going to be doing, there's so much removal in the set too that it's just like, okay, I'm going to play a creature, he's going to remove it. I'm going to play a creature, or he's going to remove it. And I'm so far behind at this point that the swing is just already, no chance of coming back, you know?
I don't know, man. I think there's always a chance of like, they play a bomb, you play a bomb, they play a bomb, you play a bomb. I think that it's
But you have to have those bombs, right?
It's too early in the format to decide.
You have to have those bombs. You still have to have those bombs. Because the thing is like, so you're coming from a pool where I've said, oh, you have those bombs and stuff like that. But we won't mention the player's name, but there's current players with like multiple gods. And like even a single
god.
Call him
Pigeon.
Pigeon has 2 gods.
Pigeon's got 2 gods.
Pigeon curves.
Pigeon has the white god and the blue god. Yeah. Avoid him.
If you
run if you see him.
Like he's beatable. He's lost 2 games.
Yeah,
right?
Strangely.
But if he curves out a Kefnet into an Oketra, there's no amount of cards in any set that'll answer that.
Well, I don't know about that. There's got to be some sort of mass pacifism effect that we haven't thought of.
Well, there's the one from, is it a Bolas one? No, it was in Amonkhet. The lose all abilities. It's rotated out.
Ah, damn. In Bolas's clutches. That's a reason to go back to Dominaria right there.
Yeah, it's true.
To get your hands on those gods.
Yeah, it's true. In Bolas's clutches. But uncommons are not a reason to go to a set, usually.
Yeah, they are.
Oh yeah, then
rares aren't. But
Dominaria has the sagas. Eldest Reborn is another reason to go back.
I've seen people open out Eldest Reborn and Muldrotha when I beat them in the same pack. Almost made me sick. I think that was Serge. He opened a great pack of Dominaria.
So there is reason to go out of set. The debate still kind of lingers of the people who are sticking to War of the Spark and the people who are going out of set.
Only time will tell.
Me personally, for now, I found that there's a deep amount of playables in the set, and the bombs are really strong. So I'm gonna keep fishing for those bombs until I start feeling like, oh, I can't really, and then I'll switch sets. You know. Plus my colors, you know, Golgari would pull me back to Dominaria because Lord knows there's no point to go back to Guilds of Ravnica for Golgari cards.
There's a few payoffs.
Yeah, they're all bad though.
Get your guild gates. Get your guild gates while they're hot.
While they're fresh. But was there open the gates in Guilds of Ravnica, or was it only in Ravnica Legion?
I think it was only Ravnica Legion.
Because there was a guild tutor or something in.
It was an uncommon elf, I think.
Oh yeah.
He'd go get your gates for you.
Yeah, so not worth it. So that was our first kind of impression. Yeah. You know, 4-2, 2-4. Bottom of the ladder.
I've got a very rosy view of the set.
I'm not.
He's got a bit more pessimistic view of the set.
I'm not at the worst place. I'm sure there's some people who are at 06 on week 1 and that aren't really feeling it at this point.
Maybe.
We'll see. I will say this. The format being as varianted as it is, I don't think the top 8... I think the top 8 is way too far to even start making predictions in that regard. because I think there's going to be weeks where you're going to have 0-3s, 3-0s, people riding on a bomb, curve out 5 into Nissa 3 games in a row and just immediately lock that 3-0, push them forward a week. Mm-hmm. The next week they don't get any of their bombs. I think it's too variant a format.
Variable, yeah. But I tell you what, before the next podcast, you and I, we're going to independently again look at the end of week 1, who's registered, who's not. I think we should put our balls on the line and call who the top 8 is going to be. Give our reasoning for who's going to make it.
If I was going to play the odds, I'd just pick 5 of the newcomers, right? That's what happened last time.
That's what happened last time. You're right.
Yeah.
Draft the rookies.
Draft the rookies.
I mean, you can play along. So if you're listening to this podcast, and you want to get ready for the next Magus,
pick yourself first.
Yeah. Take your top 8 picks. Do a fantasy draft. We'll see who has the winning list.
Yeah. Okay. So last week, 2 things that we're gonna do coming up. First, we're gonna do this, and then we'll move to our battle of packs that we do. This is last week. 2 weeks ago, prior to the staff, we did our pre-release show where we did our top 8. Now,
top 10
of
commons and
uncommons. Yeah. So, I say we revisit that at the end of the set, that top 10. Mm-hmm. But I'm willing to talk on a certain point that's been pretty funny.
What's that?
So I had valued Angrass Rampage higher than Omnixilis's Cruelty, right?
Yes, famously.
Yeah. I see the error of my ways, but I do think
you're growing.
I do think that Angrass Rampage is gonna go up in value over the set. I still think it's there. So
you were wrong, but you're kind of right.
No, I'm wrong, but I don't think that you can devalue the card as much as he's saying versus saying Stormdrake at 4th best common uncommon in the set is great. How many games has Stormdrake won you, Chris?
Well, I'm not playing Stormdrake. I opened a foil, so I'm not playing it. But I'm just splashing.
Pretty sure you went on record in that episode to say if you weren't playing Stormdrake, you would just draw.
I've seen Stormdrake do great things across the table for me. I saw Tim Martoni crush me in a practice game with Stormdrake action.
Yeah.
And he activated it more than once. He was able to get 2 counters on it, even 3.
Yeah.
And so I thought that was.
I'll tell you one card from that.
Good sign.
So in that same deck, one card that was kind of a sleeper that's come out to be one of the stronger cards, Spellgorger Weird. So the red weird, same effect, but +1/+1 counters. So usually we get the prowess triggers.
Yep.
This card, if you have it in your pool and you're playing red and you're not playing it, you should seriously consider playing it because just 2 activations even off a Planeswalker, and this is a beating, right?
Yeah.
But other cards, can you think of any other cards from the top 10 that you want to make a special notice to that we're not that we're seeing that's like pretty solid? Because I know you mentioned Tyrant Scorn, which has been pretty incredible. Mm-hmm. Most of the removal that we mentioned, like Jaya's Greeting, Chandra's, has been pretty incredible.
The removal is boss.
I think I was right in valuing Jaya's Greeting higher than Chandra's Triumph. It's the Triumph cycle, not Victory Triumph.
Is that what it is?
Yeah, Triumph cycle.
Yes, thank you.
It came back to me now.
All right.
Just for the Scry one effect has been pretty popular and strong.
Okay.
Ral's Outburst, I think we correctly valued at the time. So most of our removal was pretty on point. Is there anything that you haven't?
I mean, in terms of like sleepers, I probably should have. I think I put Davriel on my list. Right?
I think neither of us saw the Davriel.
Because Davriel is really, really good.
He's a beating, yeah. It's more so in our format than in the regular sealed format. Because, so Ashiok, I think, would be my pick over of the two in a regular sealed. He's a beating. But in a 60-card format, he's not as much of a powerhouse. He is, however, a solid sideboard answer to the gods. You heard it here first.
Oh, wow.
Hot takes. If you have a way of dealing with a god, and you have an Ashiok in hand, it's flat out answered. Because the trigger of Ashiok that a lot of people tend to forget is he does mill, but he also exiles your opponent's graveyard.
That's correct.
When it happens.
Yeah.
So that's kind of sleeper. So what are we doing here?
Yeah.
Well, we're going to do our top three of bombs, excluding the gods.
Yeah.
We're doing the rule, no gods. So that includes all 5 gods and Nicole Bolas, the god pharaoh, who are all kind of automatically played with it, but that top 3 powerhouse bombs that you would like to play with. So these aren't necessarily the most powerful bombs in the set, but that you feel like would be fun to have.
Yeah,
they're not unplayable bombs, but they're good to go and kind of fun.
Yeah.
So
you will start with our lowest one first, and me, I'm going to say these are bombs that I want to open personally.
Yeah.
And that would really do well in my deck.
Yeah.
Okay, so that is skewed towards that.
Okay.
Number 3, the Dread Horde Invasion.
Yeah.
Which is the new Bitter Blossom.
Yeah. Better Blossom, some people.
Better. That's a good one.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
since you call me out, usually I didn't coin the phrase. I've heard the phrase before.
Yeah, it's a nice one.
Yeah.
It made me laugh.
Yeah.
It's a genuine reaction of delight.
So Dread Horde Invasion.
So amass
colorless 1 black.
It's an enchantment. Every turn it spits out amass 1,
and you pay 1 life.
If you can
second line of text.
If you can afford the life loss in the short term, this is a great value engine that really pays off. So
you also forgot the second line of text. When you have a zombie army token or a zombie token, right? So it also affects other zombies. That has 6 power or more.
Right.
They gain lifelink.
Yeah.
So if you can stick an amass creature
right.
to 6, all of a sudden it becomes payoff because you're paying 1 life for it to get stronger and you're gaining life every turn.
It rarely comes into play, but of course in our
it's won me a few sealed pooled games, to be honest.
In our promotion, who has got the most counters on their zombie army, we've seen up to, what was it, 11?
12.
12.
I think we're at 12.
We're at 12.
So.
And again, that was a Koffler accomplishment. That's the current standing record. So it can happen that you get that extra line of payoff from the Dread Horde Invasion. But even if you don't, if you have any kind of sacrifice synergies going on, you have a constant stream of 1/1s that you can sack and for benefit. You have a blocker for that troublesome 5/4 across the table every turn.
You're basically paying 1 life to negate one of their creatures.
Yeah.
Like, it's totally worth it.
Yeah. It's totally worth it. It's a fantastic card. One that I want to open. Perhaps I've rated it a bit high, but it's my number 3. What's your number 3, Lee?
The blue finale of Revelation, I believe.
Okay. Draws you a ton of cards.
Yeah, so it's X blue, draw X cards at sorcery speed.
Yep.
If the blue is 10 or more, you for the rest of the game you have no maximum hand size, and you can untap up to 5 lands. Additionally, after you play it, you have to exile it. So
no recursion on that.
No recursion. No recursion. However, what I found in the set is card draw. In blue is pretty strong, and because it's such a bomb heavy format, drawing 4 or 5, reloading your hand is really, really strong. So I believe the common is Tamio's Epiphany, Scry 4, draw 2. That's a powerhouse. This I just think is slightly better in the sense that it's the same thing, draw 2 minus the Scry, but if you put in 6, you get 4 cards. And I mean, living the dream would be the 10 and then exiling. And I pulled it off in Commander directly across the table from you. On turn 4, and it was pretty hilarious.
Yes, so. Well, Commander, that's a different world. We don't like to talk about what happens in Commander.
Yeah.
But I do think that this is, if you can afford to take a turn off, if you have a deck that is defensive enough to allow you to have that turn to refill your hand and to play at least 1 big bomb with the extra 5, or even if you don't, just to refill your hand, next turn start unloading it.
Yeah.
It's a great card.
It's fantastic.
I agree.
Your number 2.
My number 2, it's no surprise. It's the Liliana Dread Horde.
Yeah, General.
Thank you. So that's for 6 mana. She's a Planeswalker. All sorts of stuff happening, but the one that's most important, the one that will always come up, her static ability, is that whenever a creature that you control dies, you get to draw a card.
Yeah. Also, she pluses for a zombie.
She pluses for a zombie. You can negative her
to return a creature from graveyard to play or something.
No, it's different.
We don't even know the card, and we're pushing it out here.
We've said enough already.
Oh, fair enough.
But the -4, I think, is some sort of kill something or other ability. The ultimate is interesting. It's a -9, and you can get an opponent to sacrifice everything but 1 card of each type.
So 4 abilities. First one, create a 2/2 zombie on a +1. So usually the create token is a negative, which is really strong to be on the plus because it just gives her that much more resilience.
And she starts with 6 loyalty already.
-4, each player sacrifices 2 creatures. So on a board where each player has 2 creatures, it's just a complete board wipe.
Yep.
And number 9, -9, each opponent chooses a permanent they control of each permanent type and sacrifices the rest, which is basically just lose the game because
it's a one-sided wrath, and also
goes to one land.
Yeah, it's a Wrath of God, and it's an Armageddon,
and it's everything together.
Yeah,
and at -9, it's not that far away. It's basically 2 triggers. I think you always do it as soon as she gets to 9.
Yeah,
like there's no reason not to just blow out the game with that. So good choice.
Yeah, so,
she's the number 1. I believe she's rated right now the number 1 limited card for Sealed Pool, above the gods even.
Yeah, I made just to be controversial, I made 1 pick above her, which I might regret. I'll take a lot of stick for it, but what I think that Liliana is really good for, not just any old limited environment, but for League in particular, is that static ability is going to help you churn through your deck, right? So even if you never get to do the ultimate, which is the dream, she's going to stay alive for long enough and see enough zombie tokens and other kinds of incidental creatures die that she's going to basically refill your hand before she passes on.
Yeah.
And that's a great ability for only 6 mana.
All right.
What's your number 2?
My number 2 is Domri, Anarch of Bolas. So 3-drop Planeswalker.
Wow.
Creatures you control get +1/+0. +1, generate red or green mana.
Yeah.
-2, causes a creature to fight.
Okay. All right.
And I don't think he has an ultimate. I'll double check.
How are you going to defend this one, Lee? So my number 2 is Liliana. Yours is Domri.
Hey, we said cards we want to play with, not cards that are absolutely broken.
Okay.
So
how does this fit in your deck? What's the best case for this?
This doesn't actually... Well, it actually does fit in my deck right now. But anyways, the situation with this is... I like the Crunch. Have you played the Crunch?
I have
played the Crunch.
It
can be a beating.
I've not played the Crunch, but the Crunch has been on the other side of the table. I respect the Crunch.
This is a card that the 3 mana walkers. There aren't that many of them, and they tend to be pretty strong. Sure. Even Teferi is pretty strong.
Teferi's great.
Well, yeah. I always play the Teferi as it's a 3 mana bounce a card, draw a card.
Yeah, right? Mana War.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what they
but
say.
Also the card draw, right? The Mana War that we're talking about is the 2 mana dismissal that amasses one. This one is better because it draws you a card, right?
Okay.
And it absorbs damage. It basically takes all combat tricks off the table. Counter spells no longer work.
But we're not talking about Teferi.
We're not talking about Teferi. We're talking about Domri. So Domri. Anthem effect, +1/+0. In the deck that it wants to go into, red, green, aggro, that's a huge static ability. It just buffs all your creatures.
Right.
2, it gives +1 red or green mana, and creature spells you can't cast, this turn can't be countered. So, plussing it, not necessarily the first creature, but every creature past that ability can't be countered. Now, it's not super relevant in this format. As I mentioned, there's only pretty one good. It's the No Escape. However, it is a solid upside to an already great ability, which is ramping, right? Because going 3 to 5, turn 3 to 5 is pretty solid because there's a lot of 5-drop green creatures that work really well with him.
And interestingly, you don't have to use the mana to play the creature.
Yeah.
A lot of these Domri abilities, like in the past, from Ravnica Allegiance, for example, you'd have to use the mana in the spell that you were casting in order to get the riot.
So I believe you could still use the mana in any context on that Domri, but if it was on a creature spell, you would get the riot. So if you wanted full value, but this one, the fact that I feel like this one's better than that one because it's a little bit more lower on the curve, and the deck that it slots into is big creatures, right?
Or even if you're playing multiple small ones, all creature spells you cast this turn can't be countered.
Yeah.
So you can play like 3, 2/2s.
Yeah. And, if you want to just resolve your god, right, it prevents your god's one weakness, right?
Yeah.
So this with either the Boar God or with Ronus, just all of a sudden, the one weaknesses the gods have is gone. You can't deal with it, right?
Fair enough. If you're lucky enough to open a Domri and a god...
He's just a rare planeswalker. He's probably one of the ones that they valued lower, right?
Yeah, but still.
I'm thinking you'd probably want one, now that I've mentioned it.
Nah.
And then -2, target creature fights. That's just renewable removal. So he comes in with 3 loyalty, I believe.
Mm-hmm. Yes, he does.
So 3 loyalty, so you get at least 1 removal off him. And if you can keep him on the board, you'll probably get 2, 3, 4 removal. So I think of all the green planeswalkers, he's probably like the least efficient in terms of value, but he's also one of the more fun ones to kind of jam with those things.
All right.
So that's my number 2 pick. I'd really like to open one. I haven't opened one yet, but
it's not a humiliating pick.
Yeah. Okay.
It's no Liliana, but it's not bad.
I didn't say it was better than Liliana. I said it was more what I wanted to play.
Sure.
All right. Your number 1.
My number 1 is Bolas's The Citadel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a good card. So that was a sleeper. I think that was the sleeper of the set.
So it's a legendary enchantment. Legendary artifact. Sorry,
legendary artifact.
3 colorless and then black for the mana cost. And it's a very simple card in what it says. It just says
first line of text.
Yes, you may play card. You may look at the top card of your library at any time. You can play those cards if you're willing to pay life equal to the converted mana cost of the card.
Third line of text.
Tap it. Sacrifice 10 permanents to deal 10 damage to target player.
Yeah, I mean, it's the third line of text is going to be less relevant, but every once in a while you're just going to ding your opponent.
You're going to sack your board, ding your opponent, win the game.
Exactly. But for most of the time, it's just an extra card every turn.
Yeah.
And it's play, so you can play your lands for free.
Yep.
Like, how many of these cards were bombs in the last set? Like Dominaria, Tatiova... the experimental frenzy and
I was a big fan of experimental frenzy.
Yeah,
a very big fan of that card.
Yeah,
and when I saw this, I'm like, this is that card, but better.
Yeah,
because you can still play your hand.
Yeah, it gives you the option. It gives you the option. So
and there's no because of that, you don't have to pay the extra mana to sacrifice it later on. So in the end, your experimental frenzies would cost you 8 mana over 2 turns, right? Whereas this is just.
And
6 mana straight up.
Combo potential, that card pairs incredibly well with Sorin, who's in those colors, because just giving lifelink to your board and getting that life back just gives you extra cards, and you can keep playing them, playing creatures off the top of your library and just gaining life off their attacks is incredibly potent.
If you build your deck around it, it's super powerful. Even if you don't play your deck, you don't build your deck around it.
It's just extra card draw.
It's still incredibly powerful.
Yeah,
it's win-win. And
that's a good choice.
I'm playing black, so
did you draft
on my
this
wish
weekend?
List.
Because if you drafted this weekend, you got a foil promo. Yep. Everybody who's listening to it, you've already missed it. I got my foil promo, but the one foil promo available is Citadel for the weekend. Yeah, pretty good. My number 10 is
number 1.
Number 1.
You're number 1.
Going back to the bottom. Nissa, Shaker of Worlds.
Every time I've played Lee in this format, he said Nissa, Shaker of Worlds.
I want a second one. I want a second one. She's so good.
Has it in League.
Yeah.
It's basically your spirit animal.
For this league, for sure. This league, for sure. So,
talk her up.
5 cost, 5 loyalty, +1. Turn a land into a 0/0 elemental, put +3 counters on it. -8. You search your library for all your lands become indestructible. Search your libraries for any forests as you want. Put into play. Static ability. All your lands generate an extra green mana.
All your forests
generate an extra green mana.
Yeah.
So, pretty freaking solid card.
Yeah, not bad. Defends itself.
One of the reasons that I really liked it is, there's nuance to the tap on tap. Anybody who plays Karoo lands in Commander knows the whole float, do something, bounce the land. This is similar to that you can tap a land, float the mana, untap it, retap it, generate so it ramps. It's great.
Yep.
It pairs well with Kiora.
It's a real pain in the ass to beat.
Yeah, in Kiora you can tap a forest, untap it, tap it again, untap it, tap it again, get 6 mana off 1 land. It's pretty annoying.
Yeah.
And little upside that you learned in our matchup, the elementals are actually not just the static usual, which is it's a 3/3.
Yep.
They're 0/0s with +1/+1 counters. So they work really well in the proliferate
synergy, yes.
Yeah, so proliferate synergy. So and even more plus side, I forgot the text. The lands all have vigilance and haste, which means to attack, you don't even have to tap them. You can tap the one that's attacking to do a Giant's Growth off it. If you're playing green-blue, you can hit that counter spell. There's a bunch of stuff that you can do with it. It's just really interactive and really fun. And even though my record is crap, every time I've played her, I've had a good time. So
there you go.
And I've lost with her. I don't think she's overly busted. I feel like her power level is very, very high. But compared to some of the bombs in the set where it's just, you slam it and the other person just immediately scoops their board. I found that this one, you can fight through it. I fought through it at first time because one of the downsides is you're making our lands into targetable creatures.
Yes.
And in against blue-black, where I played blue-black, and someone has slammed this against me on MTG Arena, I've made it my fun and pleasure to be like, okay, you made your land, I kill your land, I kill your other land, I kill your other land. Right. And where you have an abundance of resource, you tend to mismanage the mana. Yeah. After a while, it's like if you've killed all their forests and they have no more green mana, it's really handicapping their deck. You can't lean solely on the bomb to win you the game.
During the game that we played at the pre-release, I had the fun of playing the Amass.
And board wiping my board, all my lands. Yeah, exactly.
That was hilarious.
So it can back.
And now I've got Massacre Girl in my pool.
Oh,
just
beautiful.
waiting for that interaction.
So yeah, I feel like it's one of those bombs that's risky, but it has a huge upside, and it feels like a lot of fun and interactive.
A lot of choices.
Yeah, exactly. So she's my girl. I really like her.
All right. Those are our top 3 that we'd like to see in our
pools.
Yeah, open up in our pools.
Feel free to comment your top 3 of what you would like to see or already have in your pools. I'm always open for free information.
There you go. So without further ado, we're going to cut now to our Crack a Pack.
Well, we call it Pack Battle. Crack a Pack is...
Sorry.
Because Crack a Pack is limited resources.
It's trademarked.
Right?
We footnote them.
We're Pack Battle. So we do 2 packs, one from each of our choices of what we think would add well to the set. This week, I'm adding War of the Spark because, as I mentioned, I think you want to kind of go bomb heavy. Yeah. Chris, defending the position of fixing, being critical, and, kind of pulling some good stuff from outside the set to answer gods and all that type of stuff, has decided to open Ravnica Allegiance. And let's see how that turned out.
Without further ado, Pack Battle! All right, so here we are at the Crack a Pack segment. We're going to start off with Mr. Lee Bond's Open. He claims that he's going to stay in set for the entirety of the War of the Spark League.
The entirety, but for the first openings, for sure. I'm not going anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
The general feeling, I think, for most of the set has been that it's very bomb heavy. Mm-hmm. And I think rather than go some fringe case that I want to just get that power as much as possible.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where I'm at.
So first, Lee's going to open his War of the Spark pack. I'm going to try to defend the slightly less popular claim that leaving the set might be the thing to do to find answers to problems that War of the Spark generates, but doesn't actually have the answer to within the set.
So one of the ones that you had kind of recommended is going back to one of the 2 guild set based on your color combination.
Yep.
Because you can get those guild gates. Guaranteed guild gate, 1 per pack.
Yep.
Your odds of hitting on your colors, depending on your 3 colors, is more.
Mm-hmm.
But it might pull you into the colors that you want. So that could be a reason.
And the fixing's so bad in War of the Spark.
You were also saying that you might be going back to core.
Yeah, I'll explain that after.
Yeah. All right, so let's jump into this. Yeah. So starting with the War of the Spark. Okay, so currently, this is a Liliana. I'm just going to be heartbroken.
Here we go.
So, an angel and an island. 2 of the best cards in Magic. So, starting, Rising Populace, pretty good in the Proliferate deck, just a solid 3-drop.
It's okay.
Stealth Mission, how do you feel about this card? I found it to be very playable, but maybe not more than 1 or 2.
Yeah, very playable.
Goblin Assault Team, I have a couple that I'm going to give a go to, but I haven't tried it yet. Yep. It's a 4/1 haste that puts a +1/+1 counter. Feels like it's for the red-white Proliferate deck.
Yeah.
Crunch Wrangler, solid playable, one of the best 2-drops in the set.
So we can see them all.
Yep. Toll of the Invasion.
Yeah, also very playable.
Yep.
Again, not in like 4 ofs, but
Trusted Pegasus, 1 or 2. Fantastic card. Banehound. I haven't seen this one have a lot of play.
I haven't seen anybody play it.
Giant Growth.
That's your Celtic roots coming out there. Giant Growth.
I think it was more the Jiang Yu kind of Asian. Topple the Statue.
Yeah.
Better than it seems. The draw card on it makes it better than it seems.
Mm-hmm.
Ral's Outburst.
It can stall a god for a turn, I guess, right?
Yeah. Interplanar Beacon.
Ooh.
And Bond of Insight.
I expect you to die, Mr. Bond.
So we actually have a foil in this pack.
No.
So Lazotep Behemoth. That's a real good. And then the rare are Jace Wielder of Mysteries. So
would you have liked to see that for your league?
Current pool? No, I don't think so. It would to be honest, we were talking about this earlier, but this might have pulled me back into the colors that I want be. Let's extract the playable. So there's no bad color pairings from what we've seen in this set.
Yeah.
But certain cards definitely speak to certain archetypes. So the Ral's Outburst and the Jace, I think I would play the Jace in pretty much any deck just because he draws you a card.
The triple blue is hard to pull off.
Yeah, but if your core is blue, so like if you're the blue-red spells deck or blue-green Proliferate, I think these would be the cards that I'm looking for. The Bond of Insight I've found to be better than expected, but I wouldn't play more than 1 of. It also goes in the spells deck because it mills 4. It's really good in draft, but in limited, it kind of can get you back a spell. Mills 4 off your opponent. You can always hit something good. Interplane and Breaking, Fixing, kind of goes into every deck in the set right now.
Fixing for Planeswalkers, though, right? That's it. Only for Planeswalker spells.
Only for Planeswalkers. Still good. Yeah. And then I probably play all of the Topple the Statue Rising Populace in the same deck with the Crunch Wrangler between the two. So the rest, solid cards, but not more one of or two of. I probably wouldn't be looking to slot any of these in my deck over what I've been playing.
Yeah. I don't see any game-ending bombs necessarily here. In terms of like the bomb lottery, this is definitely a miss.
Yeah. But overall, a lot of solid playables. If you were in the green-white proliferate deck, this would be a very solid pull for you because you're getting like 4 playable cards, 2 that are like key pieces of it, and the bomb itself is a miss-ish bomb. You know, it fits in certain decks, but I'm glad I opened one for my personal collection. So
there you go. Okay. So now we're going to slide on over to Ravnica Allegiance.
Yeah. So let's keep the playables.
Yeah.
And then we'll open up Ravnica Allegiance and make a comparison like we did last time.
Exactly. So we'll take a look at how many playables versus how many bombs we have.
Yeah. So I think this is pretty much what we're looking at for playable cards. So I'll just tuck these off over to the side here and let you do your thing. So Chris, have us for Ravnica Allegiance.
All right, here we go. And I don't know. Already I'm liking this pack. So we have Viscopa Vampire.
Yep.
Playable. Arrester's Admonition, one of the better removals of the set.
Kind of the similar...
No, no, because they have to replay it, Lee.
Yeah, but
they got to replay, and you know,
but it doesn't draw you the card unless you do it at sorcery speed, where this draws you the card all the time.
I'm not sold. But going through the pack, we see Scorchmark, we see Rakdos Trumpeter.
Now that's a card that I hadn't considered that's fantastic.
Open the gates. Yeah.
Fixing is real good, and a lot of people seem to be playing green.
Carry an Imp, solid. Gets rid of Planeswalkers just like Senate Griffin.
Yeah.
Rampage Red Horde, a little underwhelming in this world of amass tokens. No trample on that.
Yeah.
This is obviously not that great.
Rhythm of the Wild, it was a bomb in the set. It's still pretty playable, but there's not a lot of good counterspell in War of the Spark. So I think that the upside of the second text is going to be a lot less valuable than it was in Ravnica.
Well, what's that card that David just played on you that exiles your creature card?
No Escape.
No Escape.
Yeah.
This is great against No Escape.
Yeah, but most people won't be main decking No Escape later in the league, I don't think. Taking turn 3 off is not amazing.
It's a really good counterspell, and it deals with gods, right? So
that it does.
Drill Bit also a very good card. Night of Last Breath is a whiff. The rare, Rixmati Reveler. It's a refill on your hand.
And a second foil. Man, these packs, I'm really good at picking foil packs.
And the Simic Guildgate. So this is a Guildgate that I personally would love to have in my pool.
I'm sure quite a few people would be because
and I'd love to go fetch it with
one
this.
of the plays.
Yeah, so I can see that in my Sultai deck that I'm running currently, I'd probably play both of the Carrion Imps, possibly, but not certainly, the Senate Griffin, definitely the Admonition, the Open the Gates, and the Guildgate.
Yeah, so if you were in Sultai, this pack would be pretty solid.
Yeah.
But in any other color, let's talk about it in terms of like decent removal. So Scorchmark was one of the better removals in that set. Right now, all the premium removal in red hits at 3 damage. So Chandra's, what's it called? Chandra's, I want to say Victory. Victory or the one it's like there's a cycle of them.
Sure, Chandra's Victory. Yeah.
It's not Victory, is it?
Yeah, it's the victory cycle.
Defeat and victory?
Yep. So
Chandra's Victory. Then and also Jaya's Greeting.
Yep.
All at 3, so kind of falls flat. The Rixmati Reveler, it refills your hand, but you got to remember it's only on the spectacle cost.
Yeah, and the spectacle cost, importantly, it's only when you damage a player, not a planeswalker. And in this set, you're going to be wanting to go after planeswalkers.
Yeah, it's going to be tougher to trigger spectacle in this set, I think.
Yeah.
So kind of a whiff bomb, but I would put it on the same whiff bomb as like a Jace. Jace guarantees you a draw card, but this is still just a good creature. And the loot effect or rummage effect on it as a 2-drop is still pretty good in limited.
Yeah, unless you're greedy and you hold off for the draw 3.
What are you pulling from this set?
In terms of
whatever, fixing best cards. Let's do this.
Yeah. So I think that, this is why. If you ever go back to the earlier Ravnica sets, you want fixing that War of the Spark does not have. And we got that. We got paid off.
Yeah. I think these are all kind of marginal.
All the bombs in your War of the Spark packs, if you can't play them, they're not worth anything. And so this fixing, even if there's nothing else in the pack, this is going to help you play bombs that you've already opened. So I think
these are all kind of marginal. The Vescopa Vampire, I think, is a marginally replaceable.
Sure.
There's a life gain synergy in the white-black in this set.
Yep.
But I don't think that that's a payoff more than anything.
Well, even back in the Ravnica Allegiance original set, this was not a wonderful card.
So, in comparison, right, a lot of these cards don't play into the same deck. Now, you were saying Sultai would want a lot of these pieces.
Yep.
So if you're a Sultai, essentially you wouldn't be playing these.
Correct.
And this doesn't, like, the fixing, as you said, fantastic. But other than that, the power level seems kind of low, right?
Yep.
And it's all 4-drops. So if you compare it to the curve in the 4-drop slot of most of War of the Spark, you're looking more at Planeswalkers.
Importantly, all of this dies to the common removal in the set.
Yeah. So kind of weak. But Arrester's Admonition, pretty solid card.
Yeah.
Draws a card, replaces itself. Probably better than Top of List, actually. I'll give it to you.
Okay.
It's better. I think in certain situations the topple is going to be upside, but there's not a lot of great artifacts in the set right now.
Yeah.
So probably better, just more flexible, right?
Yeah.
The beacon is definitely worse than a Simic Guildgate.
Yes.
Even with 16 Planeswalkers in your deck, it's not that fantastic.
Yeah. So we'll put the picks like this.
Yeah.
So far, 2 points for Ravnica Allegiance.
I will say this package of playables just really outweighs pretty much anything that's coming from that side of the playables.
Okay, so
this is a curve that I'm looking for in a green-white deck.
Here's what I'll give you. A 2/2 that gives something else flying
is better than any of those cards.
Beats this one.
Yeah.
Let's go on a 1-to-1 basis. However, if you're looking at a Crunch Wrangler, I'm thinking that this beats that any old day of the week.
I don't think so. In the current format, I think this beats that over any other way. This is a proliferate trigger in the deck that it goes into, right? Because this, you play Bloomhope. I almost got it done to me earlier today. This with Bloomhope is a 2-card combo. This with anything in the set is still just a 2/3 flyer, right? And synergy is going to be pretty predominant in this deck. So I think this is better than either of the carrion imps.
Here's the thing. Here's what the humble imp gives that the Crunch Wrangler doesn't, which is a late game and a way to evasively deal with planeswalkers.
That's fair.
I think you want to wait till late game to play your bombs, and this helps you get there. At the same time, pruning and managing your opponent's garden.
Yeah. I will say this, though. There's huge value to say the fact that you can do this into this in the same deck, or this into this in the same deck, right? All of these cards take up the same slot, right? So the fact that you're getting, and that's one of the things that's been the case of War of the Spark is...
Breath of the Spark.
I wanted to say Breath of the Wild from Zelda, but War of the Spark is the playables are very deep. You've got a deep amount of playables. So in any pack, depending on the deck you're going to get, you might get 3 or 4 that just line up your curve. And I've found myself to be getting like multiple instances of the same common that just play on curve. So your strategy is going to be a lot tighter, I think, if you're sticking to War of the Spark. Now, that said, it's a 1-pack to 1-pack comparison, and I still think there's like a lot of good value with the fixing. So players could go either way. But I do think like we haven't even considered these pieces, and this is premium removal. This has a place. It's not, I'll put it aside in terms of having a place, but in terms of the bombs, I'd probably take the Jace over the Rix. It's more circumstantial, but drawing a card every turn is better than a loot, and it synergizes well with a lot of the Planeswalker stuff. And the Ral's Elspert, which we like, no comparison, just eats. Like, there's not much that compares to Ral's Outburst in that pack, right?
Sure. I guess what we're saying here, though, in terms of like comparing these two rares, for the kinds of decks I like to run, I would rather have an early game loot and a late game hand refill over something that costs 3 blue to play and really cements me in a certain kind of deck. So really, it depends what kind of style of deck you're playing, which of these packs you'd like to open. So I do think that maybe successfully defended my claim that you can go out of set and still get paid off for your archetype. But you have to know what archetype you are, and you have to choose the set carefully that you go into.
Yeah, I would agree.
And so since I'm tricking a lot of creatures in my deck into play, that's why I'm thinking about going back to M19.
Yeah.
Because there's lots of ETB effects, and there's lots of unexpected stuff. That
and
people
just bulk creatures, because green was very solid in that. So.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So that's kind of what I'm going for.
All right. Well, interesting.
Yep.
So I still think I won that pack war. Just
I think it's. Let's let the viewers decide. Comment below to see who won.
All right. So back to the table.
Back to the show.
And we're back.
Back into it.
Yeah. So
here at MotL.
MOT, the Magus of the League.
Hey, what's up?
All right. So that kind of wraps up our show for this week.
One final note, though, right?
Yeah, one final note. So the league has been a lot of fun so far. Registration closed Friday this week, May 10th.
Yep.
So
9 p.m.
If this gets out there before then, hopefully it will. And you see it, encourage your friends to sign up.
We've already around 30, I think.
Yeah, there's no punishment for people until the end of the second week. So you have to play up to your 6 matches at the end of the second week.
Yeah.
But there's still plenty of time for that. And I found that a lot of people are still out there looking for matches. Compared to usually where people max out within the first weekend, there's a lot of open pack spaces for some matches. So
that's right. And right now we're hovering around 30, but there's always room for more in the pool.
Yeah.
Because this league is only... we're only allowing standard packs to be open for punishment packs. You can simulate your entire deck on Magic Arena.
Yeah.
This is a great tool for practicing. Even though you cannot play your official matches on Magic Arena for League, you can still practice your butt off. Yeah. We're doing it. We encourage you to do the same.
It's a great environment for testing weird iterations of your deck. Something that you might not have seen. You know, if you want to try
just to get the reps
pairs. Yeah, get reps in, exactly. Like... You can even take it into like a casual play, standard in play against standard decks. A lot of people are playing the intro decks. You know, you'll probably get smashed most of the games, but then you can see how your deck interacts with someone who has like a pretty optimized deck.
Yep. And it's fun when you win those. Like I've won maybe, I would say probably 30% of my games against standard decks in the casual play area of Arena.
Yeah.
And just those games that you pull out, you're like, you had all the time in the world, all the resources to build your deck. I'm working with 8 packs now?
Yeah.
And if I can manage to beat somebody on that
platform,
it feels good.
Yeah. So, and one of the good ways to get those matches with people is just jump on the group chat that we have. The Facebook group chat will have been up for about a week.
Yep.
So I was out of the last few. I've been missing it. Great place for trash talk.
Oh, God.
Casual conversation and scheduling arena tests. So that's our tidbit of the week.
Yep.
And we'll see you in 2 weeks where we'll be about mid-cycle for another Pack Wars and for some more insights on like...
Pack Battle. We got to
Pack Battle.
Consistently on brand.
Pack Battle.
Pack Battle.
And for some more... we'll be deep into the format at that point. We'll be able to say some stuff.
Right now we're like a thin crust pizza, but we're going to be deep dish.
And we're going to be talking
in 2 weeks'
about
time.
Our predicted top 8s, who I will be randomizing because I don't think it's possible at that point.
I think it's possible. I think I'm willing to make it even spicier. We can put like some sort of we can put something on the line.
Oh yeah, are we gonna put a pack for if you like name top 8, a point per player that makes it? Put a pack on the line at the end.
We'll discuss the terms and conditions
in the
beginning episode.
All right,
tune in then.
We'll see you next 2 weeks from now, guys.
See ya.